Yesterday, got an email from the NFL Players Association with the master list of draft picks and agents. And I've been waiting to get it because I might have mentioned this on PFT Live. I never really heard who Caleb Williams, the presumptive number 1 overall pick, is being represented by. Who's his agent? And I was starting to feel bad that I didn't know because, I cover the sport. I'm supposed to know these things. And the first thing I did, clicked the list, scrolled down, a lot of Williamses, and they're alphabetical, kind of, but I'm like, where's Caleb? Where's Caleb? And I checked it, and I checked it again, and I checked it again, and there's no Caleb Williams on the list of incoming players and agents. Texted a couple people I know. Yeah, he hasn't hired an agent, and he doesn't plan to. Now, look, I really don't care whether or not a player has an agent or not. There's this narrative out there because, of course, when I criticize people like Richard Sherman for thinking they could do a better deal on their own, all to save 3% of a smaller pie than what an agent, a good agent, would have gotten them, oh, you're just in bed with the agents. You're trying to cater. I don't give a shit, folks, okay? I'm just trying to share my own unvarnished view of what I think is smart for people to do. If you want to represent yourself, have at it. Just understand there are pluses and there are minuses. There are risks and there are rewards. And guys like Bobby Wagner have done an excellent job of representing himself. Lamar Jackson last year got a great contract from the Ravens. Now, if he had an agent working the channels to maybe get somebody to make him a significant offer when he was franchise tagged by the Ravens, and if the Ravens had matched it, maybe he would have gotten a better deal. Regardless, he represented himself, and he's happy. If you want to do it, that's fine. That's fine. Most guys have an agent. Some guys don't. Caleb Williams won't. Here's the one thing, though, that we need to keep in mind, and we have said this in the past about Lamar Jackson, who's never had an agent. Think back to 2018. Think about all that crap that was being said. Bill Polian, he should play receiver or running back or whatever it was, something other than quarterback. When you have an agent, and when somebody says something misguided like that, the agent gets in touch with that person. And the agent's job at that point is to try to get the person to come around to a different way of thinking and maybe go back and soften the criticism or see it a different way. And I've dealt with agents for the past 23 years. The good ones, especially pre-draft, because, look, at this point, once the guy's drafted, the contract negotiates itself. So that's a reason not to have an agent. Wherever I'm drafted, I'm going to get that contract. It's the same every year. It goes up a little bit for inflation or whatever, but it's the same deal. So I don't need an agent to negotiate that. And you're right, but you need an agent to make sure you get drafted as high as possible. And you think about all the quarterbacks in this draft, the great quarterbacks, the top three, Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Jaden Daniels. May and Daniels have agents. And I guarantee you that there will be an effort by those agents to get their clients drafted before Caleb Williams. And they might fight fair. They may not fight fair. Quite possibly all's fair in love, war, and how high you get drafted. And I think that hurt Lamar Jackson 6 years ago. He fell all the way to 32. He landed 22 spots behind Josh freaking Rosen, who did nothing in the NFL, who got dumped a year later for Kyler Murray. You need to have somebody, and it doesn't have to be an agent, but it has to be somebody who is plugged in both with the media and with the teams, because you need to counter whatever bullcrap other agents will be feeding to the decision makers or leaking to the media. We still don't know who was putting out the stuff about C.J. Stroud last year. Some people think it was other teams that wanted C.J. Stroud to fall to them. Some people think it was agents who were trying to get their guy drafted higher than C.J. Stroud. Some people think it was the Panthers who were trying to justify their faith in Bryce Young over C.J. Stroud. Whatever the case may be, you need somebody who is ready to fight fire with fire, or at a minimum, just put the fire out. That's the risk that Caleb Williams is taking. And maybe he's so good, it doesn't matter. Maybe he's going to be the number 1 overall pick no matter what anyone tries to do. But there's still something to be said for having someone who is there with you, arm in arm, fighting the fight, making the calls, talking to the people, getting tough when you have to, sharing statistics when necessary, rebutting any and all arguments that maybe you shouldn't be drafted in the spot that a team is thinking about drafting you. And people think, well, does it matter? The teams have their opinions anyway. Here's where it matters. When something becomes a narrative, when something takes root within the overall public consciousness as it relates to the coverage of the game, that's when the owners start to get nervous. Because the teams do have access to all the information. The teams all knew that C.J. Stroud didn't do well on the S2 test. It's one thing for the teams to only know it. It's another thing for everyone to know it, and then you draft a guy despite that, and it doesn't work out, and your team looks bad for not seeing the handwriting on the wall, for ignoring the signs that maybe the guy wasn't going to play well. So that's why this game happens. And my point is, you need somebody who serves as your advocate. While you're getting ready for your NFL career, you need somebody who is monitoring, talking, and pushing back against any crap that someone might be trying to throw at you to try to get you to fall farther down the draft order. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.